Hey, what's up? It's Mykill Metal, and I'm back to playing some more Kerbal Space Program. And this time, I'm launching stuff towards Duna and Eve. I'm going to put a couple of landers on Eve that are going to send some science back to Kerbal, and one of them is a buoy that's going to be landing in one of the oceans on Eve. This, right now, is heading out towards Duna, and this is a habitation module that I'm going to be sending Kerbals to. Here's the burnout towards Duna. Another thing that I wanted to mention in the video was that I have purchased a GTX 760, and I've gone through a couple of upgrades on my computer, and that's why my videos have been a little bit scarce lately. And it looks like this, and it should be here by the end of the week, so that should be something to look forward to, at least for me. And yeah. Here it is coming on Duna and making the last little burn. And that was the circularization burn, and I immediately start to burn for the landing burn. And I do have parachutes on this, so they're going to help a little bit, but I still need to use a little bit of the thrust from the engine to slow down the descent, because the atmosphere on Duna is very thin. I already popped the chutes, but as you can see, there's not enough air for them to actually deploy for a few more seconds. Tried to turn off SAS, but it's a little top heavy, and you tried to topple over, so just leave that on. Coming nice and soft for a soft touchdown. And once I do that, I deploy the panels and the ladder and the antenna, just for aesthetics. And now here's me putting a lander in on Duna. And this is a cool satellite because it has a cargo bay. And once I finish with the burn, you'll see it. And in the cargo bay, there is a little mini lander for Ike. And the satellite itself is going to head on back towards Duna after it maps Ike with ScanSat. And there's the cargo bay. Turn on RCS and thrust out of there. And this one has a bunch of RCS and a little bit of fuel. But I did kind of screw up. I forgot to put a science, anything science related on it. I just have the antenna, which is stupid because I needed to send science back from the surface. So I'm going to send another one, but for right now, I'm going to use the RCS and what little fuel there is to put this on the surface. Got a contract for orbiting Ike. And here's a little bit closer to the surface. So as you can see, I've used all the fuel. Now I'm just relying on monopropellant. It bounces a little bit, but I eventually get it down. And I realize that there's no science to be sent. So I switch back up to the satellite after I get the science for landing. Close the doors. And then start the ScanSat process. I'm going to move it up to 250 kilometer orbit and time warp all the way around. Get it done in a few seconds. This is at 4 times video acceleration in post-process, in the editing, but yeah. This is pretty fast process with the way that's set up. So now that it's done with that, I'm going to set it up for a Duna would it be? Duna synchronous? I don't know how to say that. But yeah. I have to set it up so that that site on the surface is visible. And once I get that set up, burn out so that it's in the green. And I turn off the controls for 10 seconds and get the contract. And then after some more maneuvering, excuse me, I got this in this weird Kolnya orbit, and I don't know how to pronounce that either. And I finally got it to burn straight out towards it. And this is also retrograde. It's I had to reverse the orbit. There we go. Get the contract. And this is the second lander that I sent out towards Ike to get more science. And I also grabbed another contract, which I needed to add the goo canisters and the materials lab. By the end of this video, I made it up towards about 8 million and like 1,600 science or something like that. There we go. Finish off this burn. And time warp over here and start the descent burn. And once I find a suitable landing spot, there's a flat part right over here. I'm going to start using the rest of the nuclear fuel, or at least as much as I can before I need to use the regular rocket. Burn slightly off center to make that go vertical. Separate and kind of burn sideways so I don't hit it on the way down. There we go. And this has got to be one of the softest landings that I've ever performed in Kerbal Space Program. Check this out. A nice little bloop from the science alert. Do some more science, get some laser study on the surface, do the materials study, get some temperature scans, and send all that back. Get some contracts, finish it up. Successfully explored Ike. And this is the first thing that I sent to Eve. This is going to be testing a couple of things. First thing is the moisture sensor for the soil that I got to do in low orbit. It's this windmill looking thing on the top of it. You'll see in a second once it deploys. Actually, no, this is the circularization burn and the aero braking. That's right. We'll do that next part in a second. Add a little thrust towards the end of this. And then I deployed this windmill looking thing that I was just talking about. And this is the moisture scanner. And once I get into low orbit, I can send that back and get the contract parameter for that. Get some money and some science. And I gotta send this into the atmosphere. And once I do that, I gotta do what was it? The atmosphere sensor scan thing. I can't remember. But yeah, we'll do that once it's in the atmosphere. I'm gonna use the Smart ASS to hold it to retrograde position. Use up the rest of the fuel here. Kind of burn away from it with this one a little bit. Just so I don't collide on the way down. And I also kind of wanted to control the descent to see how useful the engines would be in the atmosphere for future missions. Pay no attention to the thrust to weight ratio thing. That's completely off. I don't know what's wrong with that right now. do the atmosphere analysis, but I'm not going to send it right now, so the antenna doesn't deploy in the middle of the plasma. There we go. I did pop the chutes a little bit early on this one. That was an accident with staging. Always check your staging. Bring this down nice and slow because of the thick atmosphere. This is a really, really thick atmosphere. You can see all the clouds coming in on us right now. There we go, getting some more contracts, doing some more science while I'm flying. And I don't need to thrust anything for this landing because these parachutes slowed it down to very, very slow speeds. I'm going to time warp to the surface. There we go. And do the bioanalysis. And this is actually the second buoy that I sent because the first buoy didn't have an antenna on it, so I couldn't really do anything. So I'm going to set this up with the landing guidance to get as close to the other one as possible, because that, at least I know where the ocean is that way. Once it gets close, I'm going to abort, and then flip this, get that thing out of there, flip this around, get it ready to land. Get some auroras on the side over there. At least I think that's part of the aurora. I'm not sure. That might just be the sun coming over the horizon. Pop the chutes. I have a ton of fuel left in the engine, which is good, because if I have any missions to here, I can use that as an emergency supply. I think I'm going to put a base in the ocean over here. I'm going to see if I can do that. I think that's going to be the goal for this for the rest of this series. I'm going to put a base on Eve. Permanent base, obviously, because I'm not going to be able to get many of them back off the surface. Here we go, get the surface scans science. Complete that mission. And I will see you next time.